This is the second lie. First ABC News, and now Mr. Holder. ABC News trying to defend Mr. Holder and promote his preposterous comment by saying that the stand your ground law was pivotal in the Zimmerman trial, quote unquote. Now we have Holder lying through his teeth, saying that these laws, it's time to question laws that senselessly expand the concept of self-defense and so dangerous conflict in our neighborhoods. These laws try to fix something that was never broken. Lie. And he has access to all the statistics, exactly the same statistics I'm about to give you. And this was provided to me by Ben Shapiro at Breitbart. Listen to this, folks. Between 2005, when Florida's stand your ground law was first passed, and 2010, Florida's violent crime, and this is despite a huge increase in population growth in the state, Florida's violent crime rate dropped 23% between 2005 and 2010, the latest years we have statistics for, when they passed the stand your ground law. An increasingly rapid drop from the 12% drop from 2000 to 2005. Okay? So you have a 23% reduction in violent crime since the stand your ground law was passed in 2005, between 2005 and 2010. A drop of 1/4, despite population growth. So I want you to hear Holder again with cut 6. Now you have the facts. Go.
Separate and apart from the case that has drawn the nation's attention, it's time to question laws that senselessly expand the concept of self-defense and sow dangerous conflict in our neighborhoods. These laws try to fix something that was never broken.
Let's stop. You know, Mr. Holder, those terrorists that your law firm represented, 18 of them actually, at Guantanamo Bay, they're not the only ones that should be armed and standing their ground. You know those FALN terrorists, Mr. Holder, who you were so involved in getting them clemency? They're not the only ones that should be armed, you know, and standing their ground, Mr. Holder. You want to talk about senseless violence? You want to talk about dangerous conflict? You're a pathetic joke. Absolute pathetic joke. Now you, who listen to this audience, you have the facts. You should hope that your state has a stand your ground law. You see what happens here is that the left characterizes an issue, promotes an issue. Their issues are good, you know, their issues need to be supported. This is their mentality. So now the stand your ground laws are defective. Now there's something wrong with them, even though there's nothing wrong with them, and they're quite effective in saving human life. So now I don't favor the stand your ground law. You know, why not? Well, you know, in the Zimmerman case, it didn't come up in the Zimmerman case. It's irrelevant to the Zimmerman case. Well, ABC News said exactly. It's irrelevant. Been a sharp drop in violent crime in Florida since they passed the stand your ground law. So every state should pass it. Yeah, but we can't do that. Eric Holder, you know, said we can't. It's like this voting rights stuff that I'm going to bring up now, quickly, but bring it up nonetheless. There's a lawsuit going on in Pennsylvania on voter ID, despite the fact the Supreme Court's already said voter ID is okay, but they challenge it anyway under other circumstances. Well, but the court didn't say that this particular law was okay because, as I've said time and time and time again, the left is never allowed to lose. The left never accepts no. Now, the Republicans, they not only lose, and they claim victory. Look at this. Look, we have bipartisanship. We won when they get their clock cleaned. So fed up with them. It's disgusting. And now that you brought up the stand your ground law, let me just tell you, the Daily Caller has a great piece and it says, blacks benefit from Florida stand your ground law at disproportionate rate. You hear this? Approximately 1/3 of Florida stand your ground claims in fatal cases have been made by black defendants. In other words, stand your ground and defend yourself. 1/3 of the times it's been asserted by black defendants, and they've used the defense successfully 55% of the time. At the same time, the population rate at large and at a higher rate than white defendants. This is a database maintained by the Tampa Bay Times that the Daily Caller did an analysis of. The majority of victims in Florida under the Stand Your Ground cases have been white. So let me repeat this, because I know the racialists, the race baiters, that would be almost everybody who serves at the higher levels of the Obama administration, among others. I want you to hear this one more time. About one-third of the Florida Stand Your Ground claims in fatal cases have been made by black defendants, and about half the time they've been successful in asserting the claim. The majority of the victims in the Florida Stand Your Ground cases have been white. African Americans used the Stand Your Ground defenses at nearly twice the rate of their presence in the Florida population, which was listed at 16.6% in 2012. That's pretty remarkable. I'm surprised that Eric Holder didn't use it during his two speeches. Not at all, actually. Because Holder is not about facts and evidence and the justice system. Holder is a radical dressed up as Attorney General. And I'm going to say it again. If something happens to George Zimmerman, the President, the Attorney General, Sharpton, among others, have blood on their hands. They've done nothing to ensure that this man has protection. And the Attorney General of the United States has used his position to give at least two speeches now in which he says justice was not done. He's used the department to pull together a posse of groups that are aligned with this administration, and it has included the FBI and prosecutors in on this call, to dig up whatever they can to try and concoct a case that Zimmerman killed Martin because Martin was black. The Martin family says that's not true. The prosecutors in Florida said that's not true. The lawyers representing the parents in the Martin case said that's not true. But now we got to make it true. At least try to. And you see, it's the effort alone. The effort alone is the siren that's being put out. So who's being hunted now, ladies and gentlemen, by the federal government? Who's being hunted now? A man that was acquitted by a jury in a criminal prosecution. Acquitted. He's now being hunted by the Justice Department. He has to go into hiding in the United States of America. Has to go into hiding because he might be killed or maimed. And an intern for the Daily Caller asks the smartest question of the bunch, is the president going to make sure this man has security? And the spokes idiot for the president of the United States says, ask the Florida authorities, and by the way, that's a stupid question, and so forth and so on. It's a smart question to a stupid man.